through to October. We're shooting basically winter clothes, trying to go to Iceland or somewhere where it's nice and rainy. At the moment, for some reason, I've got your Egypt story is in March.
In the dead of a cold English winter, Vogue scours the earth for hotspot locations.
Yeah. How are you getting on with Egypt?
And every year, the exotic backdrops they choose are as inevitable as the seasons themselves.
Harriet, can you just quickly tell us about Morocco?
Okay, I'm going with Eric Bowman, and I'm going to go for 5-6 days. I'm going to do 2-3 days in Marrakesh, depending on the weather, obviously.
Marcus is in LA at the moment, and it's raining like crazy, so I think we're going to have to watch the weather there. I mean, it is hard.
Yes.
What are you going to do about Argentina?
Argentina I'm going to push on hold, because at the moment I'm working on Carmen.
Oh, right.
And of course, sun alone isn't enough. A suitable storyline must rationalise the shoot.
And we're going to shoot it in different locations. We've got a tobacco factory, we've got a dance studio, and it's really going to be based on the film by Carlos Saura, who did the Spanish version of Carmen, which was very sexy and very modern.
And if the weather in Egypt, Argentina and Morocco fails, there's always the classic fashion standby, the studio.
Or are we...
Well, I think Jane's white shirts could be in the studio.
That's what I didn't do that with.
Bailey likes to be in the studio.
Yes, he does.
And if we have to shoot something in this country...
And so the glossy fashion teams fly off to far-flung places to realise their fantasy narratives. Chanel on safari, Donna Karan at the pyramids, Jeffrey Bean amongst camels, Armani in the souk, Kenzo in a rickshaw, Mizrahi in the desert. Travel courtesy, of course, of Airs Morocco, Singapore and the like. Every picture tells a fashion story.
Okay, and action.
Michael Roberts, sometime stylist, artist, writer, currently hot photographer, is a fixture in the illusory world of fashion, about which he has few illusions.
Great. Good girl. Good girl. Wow. Bam. 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 This is great now. Great. Great. Another one like that. I mocked up a Herald Tribune with a headline saying "Heiress lost in Paris." And it's really, the picture sort of explains this rather trite and sort of cliched story. And there's Carrie Otis in a very, very expensive couture outfit by Chanel with her Louis Vuitton suitcase, obviously having run away from the life she led into more of the same, judging by the subsequent pages, when she is again very, very expensively dressed in couture dresses. So whatever she's running away from, she never finds it, but she does find certain solace in having a great change of outfit from page to page.
Page after page of glossy fashion feature rubs shoulders with paid advertisement. A dream world, the perfect environment for selling aspirational clothing. And the whole fashion world turns out to celebrate a century of the glossiest of the glossies.
Happy birthday! Happy birthday, Vogue. Happy birthday, Vogue. You should happy birthday, Vogue.
Idealized beauties of the moment salute Vogue.
You're gorgeous. Christy, right here. Right here.
Captured in an image of now, a frozen moment, they become hostage to passing time. A poignant reminder that so fashionable today, they too will soon be history. Captured by a shutter in a frame, testifying to that supreme irony of fashion, the more of the moment you are, the more instantly of the past you become. Today, Vogue celebrates 100 years of being in the forefront of trends, with the current crop of the world's dedicated leaders, chroniclers, and followers of fashion. Like moths to a flame, they gather to bask in the glow of the glitz, glamour, aspiration, and illusion that Vogue represents, celebrating 100 years of a uniquely powerful publishing venture. And with their favorite designers celebrating their joint success.
Happy birthday, Vogue. Whoa. Happy birthday, Vogue.
Designers love Vogue, and they can make Vogue love them back, with advertising budgets in the millions in the case of top designers.
I think that in a lot of cases when you have advertising-driven magazines that are fashion magazines, they are fashion and then magazines. So you're not going to see a Vogue taking a very critical stance on a designer.
I don't think that it's Vogue's job to criticize or destroy anybody. It's certainly we're here to celebrate fashion, not to destroy it.
Particularly one who buys 18 or 19 pages per issue at $23,000, $24,000, $40,000 per page.
Well, fortunately for us, our advertisers are also the designers that we respect and admire, so that question does not really arise so much for Vogue.
American and British Vogue are cash cows. British Vogue costs £350,000 per month to publish and roughly recoups this from sales alone at £2.50 per copy.
I am delighted to announce, hot off the press, our ABC has just risen to the highest it's ever been, 181,000.
Its high per-page advertising rate generates £1.5 million per issue. This is virtually pure profit.
Okay, let's give you an example. You know, a page, just to give you a feel for the market. Page ROP, which is run of paper. ROP, they stick it anywhere. Cosmo's 9 grand, Elle's 6 grand, Harper's and Queen nearly 5 grand, Marie Claire 5,200. Vogue, the big player in the market, is just over 11 grand. That's at rate card.
The Elle reader doesn't spend nearly as much as the Vogue reader does. So it's worth placing your advertising with Vogue. You will sell your product.
And you'll sell it more effectively if your ad is FM. Facing Matter, where the ad is persuasively complemented by fashion editorial, increases the price per page by about £2,000.
You can see the loadings for yourself. Vogue goes up to 13,300 from just over 11 grand. Now, when we get into the real Rolls-Royce positions, OBCs, outside back, you're getting into big, big rates. Because what you've got to remember is, 12 issues in a year, there's only 12 outside backs. There are a lot of FM sites. You want outside backs, there is very limited availability. Limited availability increases the base price for negotiation. Cosmopolitan, £14,400 compared to 9,200 for ROP, so it's a 6 grand loading.
So every page has its price. Isabella Gianni makes the cover, but she's not just a pretty face. She's a marketing opportunity. Makeup by Dior, clothes by Dior. Even, we're told, wearing Dune by Dior, if you could smell it. And coincidentally, OBC, outside back cover, the most expensive page in the magazine is Dune by Dior.
So this is Harriet's Morocco.
Harriet's Morocco, Donna Blunt.
January, editor and art director John Hines choose British Vogue's March cover.
Is the eye contact enough, do you think?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
She really projects.
The cover is critical.
I mean, I'm still nervous about it being a full length.
It's the magazine's own shop window.
Well, we have the other choice, the Bailey, which is much closer.
Yeah, it's a real...
Maybe stronger.
For me, it's probably a March cover. I mean, this is more of an April, May cover.
I know. Right.
So let's see the Bailey, shall we?
Yeah, fine.
The newsstand is a commercial battlefield. Image is the weapon. For the face that launches 100,000 copies, classic beauty is merely the point of departure.
That eye's gone a bit up there. Same as Christy Turlington's eye. When she gets tired, the eye goes.
Just one of them.
Yeah. She's got a bit of a rabbit mouth as well. And a buck teeth there.
Teeth aren't good.
Yeah. I think that's almost it, isn't it?
Yeah, that's
It looks
nice.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Very nice.
We've got a little look at mark on the tranny. Is that us or is that...
No, that's just on
okay.
the glass now.
Okay. Obviously, we'll retouch in the eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah? Get rid of those little veins. Her mouth, I mean, I guess you'll just kind of tidy it up, neaten it slightly, will you?
Yeah, I think it's pretty good.
So pretty, isn't she? She's got great lips. She's got a slight pimple just there.
Yeah. Take that out.
Well, what about colours for the logo? What do you think?
Well, we've got a lot of blue fashion this season. I mean, it needs some kind of colour. So maybe we should put a lot of blues on it.
That would be wonderful.
Yeah.
It'd be great. Sort of what, from turquoise or onwards?
The whole spectrum.
Hey, it'd be wonderful.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
sort of for a change.
Top fashion editors are versatile creatures. In and out of the office, it's work, 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 even when it's play, play, play. Media stars in their own right, they're always on. The fashion industry knows how to party. It thrives on celebration. But party girls like these are also diplomats, fashion gurus, market assessors, shrewd business operators in a deadly serious world. What comes across to the reader as intuitive reflections of the seasonal zeitgeist is in reality a calculated part in a well-oiled, multi-billion-dollar marketing collusion.
Absolutely, absolutely. We have a very close relationship with the retailers, and I will make a point every season of talking to the top fashion directors and the presidents who all come over for the shows. And we have over, I think it's 1,000 retailers that will come into the Vogue room, and we make a presentation. Well, there's one thing a woman's going to buy this season. I think it's going to be tartan, and I think what's different this season and what's new this season. And
I think Vogue has a great fashion eye with Mrs. Winter. They're on the cutting edge. They give a lot of information to people about what's happening in fashion, and they're a believable publication. And our customers read Vogue a lot. We did some surveys. We also advertise in Vogue, so we get our point of view across in Vogue. And to have Mrs. Winter, who has a mystique about her, appearing only at Bloomingdale's on multi-video screens, we thought could be great for us.
And what's new this season, and I think it's something that a lot of the designers are responding to, is that there are no really strong dictates. So you can buy a great over-the-knee tartan boot, or you can buy a little nipped-in tartan jacket by Ralph Lauren, or you can... We're talking about leather, we're talking about wrap jewelry, we're talking about tartan. They will buy accordingly. For instance, last year we very much believed in the dress. We did something at the beginning of the year called it was the year of the dress. And as a result, you know, all the stores, you know, across America promoted the dress, and it was the best-selling item throughout America last year.
Self-fulfilling fashion prophecies, Vogue's eye view, the power to influence purchasing power.
What are you paying for when you walk into a department store? You walk into a boutique and you look at a $3,000 price tag on a jacket. A jacket should not cost $3,000 off the peg. You're paying for Christy Turlington, Linda Evangelista, Naomi Campbell, the photographers who take their pictures, the makeup artists who paint their faces, the hair people who dye their hair. You know, every single bit of this costs.
High fashion basked in the consumer-led boom of the 80s, sending skirts up, colors wild, and styles, well... The fashion media fell all over itself, reporting the lives of designer gods, mega models, and superstar customers. It was spend, spend, spend. But now even the wealthy must wake up from the glitzy dreams of the spendthrift 80s and tighten their belts. Across the board, glossy magazine sales are down, and advertising budgets have been cut by 40%. Those who live by the big fashion statement may die by them when the cold wind of recession blows. Fashion is the first to feel the chill. Recession means conservatism. Perhaps it's time for the small fashion statement. And what safer bet than a classic white shirt for that sober, unostentatious look?
Good, and Ralph Lauren will be pleased. Nice, clean white shirt.
And so the carefully constructed and selected image bursts upon the public. Out of all the colourful creations on offer from the likes of Lacroix, Chanel, Valentino and Saint Laurent, by coincidence, contrivance or commercial caution, promoting the third big fashion story of the season, the white shirt.
I love it. It's really great. It's going to be a great cover.
As does the cover of the Independent Review, the cover of W, Elle, Cosmo, as well as countless features in other magazines and dailies, like the Evening Standard with a £19.99 special offer from Marks & Spencer's, all featuring white shirt stories. It's clearly a sign of the times. Of course, you can still spend a fortune looking like you haven't. And Vogue will be there to encourage you, with a Ralph Lauren shirt on the cover and a double-page Ralph Lauren spread next to the Vogue masthead. Consumption, conspicuous or otherwise, is the bottom line in the fashion industry, and encouraging it is the aim of the fashion media. And so we celebrate 100 years of a successful publishing formula, the seamlessness of advertising and editorial, the sense of a shared purpose in the fashion industry.
what kind of gossamer this business is based on. It's based on tulle and taffeta and silk and a little bit of thread and a great, 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 great bubble of ego slathered in image. That's what fashion is. You know, and what you're seeing when you look at an advertisement or when you read a piece of puff press about these people is you're seeing the machine operating, and the machine is a very cooperative venture on the surface, because the designers need the stores need the designers, they all need the press needs the design. You know, it's this system of mutual need, and yet because you're dealing with some of the most fragile egos in the world, you know, I mean, who are these people? They are dressmakers who have been made out to be kings and queens, who live like kings and queens, who our culture, in its infinite wisdom, has bestowed houses and millions of dollars and Porsches and the best meals in the best restaurants and hot and cold running champagne, cocaine, limousines, girls, boys, bisexuals, trisexuals. These people can have whatever they want, and they are dressmakers.
Yes, but dressmakers who can make us turn to our bulging Western wardrobes and cry out, we have nothing to wear. Dressmakers who know that the clothes we wear are powerful communicators. They speak volumes about us. But they speak in a language we can never quite master, whose tone changes repeatedly with the seasons. And consciously or unconsciously, fashion victim or rebel, couture customer or high street shopper, we will all end up trying to speak in variations of it. The fashion media proclaim that changing tone. Last season it was jewel-encrusted bustiers, then white shirts. Next season, who knows? But we won't have to wait long to find out. Thousands of journalists, photographers, models, fashion editors, including the new editor of British Vogue, sporting the new longer length, and buyers are about to make the pilgrimage once again to the world's fashion shrines, London, Milan, Paris, New York, to bring back the new commandments of cut and color. Clothes, apart from keeping us warm, are the frontier between the self and the world, a second skin. But they're a skin of our own choosing. The Western cult of individuality demands a freedom of self-expression in dress from head to toe.
To express outwardly what you feel inwardly, I think it's important. Day, noon, night, morning, in the bed, out of the bed, all of the time.
That people look at when you walk into the room is they look at you, and hopefully they look at your face first and your smile, and the next thing is look at your clothes. And whether they look at you apart or separate from your clothes, they're looking at your presentation. So that's your first presentation. After that, you're on your own. What we wear is an expression of who we are and how we put ourselves together as we walk down the street, and as someone passes by, they turn their heads and they say, wow, I like the way she looks, or I like the way he looks. And that has to do with that mystery. And that's what you really exude. And there's lots of people in the world, and we make our own statement. And part of that statement is what we wear.
For a time, that statement seemed to be the dictate of designers. Fashion media pundits would have it that the designer decade, when the consumer turned to labels for identity, is over. Recessions notwithstanding, is it?
A Gianni Versace jacket, the boots are from Stéphane Kellin, and the brooch is from Christian Lacroix.
What's in the bag?
Pair of John Richmond trousers.
I'm wearing Armani, yeah.
Oh yes, the bag is a Moschino. This is Hermes.
And so is the ring around it.
No, Versace today.
I like Yves Saint Laurent, I like Valentino, Ungaro, Chanel.
The earrings are Chanel.
Chanel?
Yes.
From high fashion at Chanel, where Karl Lagerfeld provides wealthy women with a uniform for the rich.
You know, nobody can force people to wear that, and they could wear it differently. If they wear it that way, that means that they like it that way. Whatever people want, they become.
An army of the affluent with its very own insignia. To the street styles of cult designer Sean Stussy, whose eclectic mixture of logos, graphics and slogans bonds urban style merchants into the Stussy tribe.
I don't want people to come here and buy this and look like a costume. I'm more stoked if a bunch of people could support this business and not have a derivative look come from it. That stokes me.
I mean, the shirt looks fresh, right?
Yeah, the shirt is cool. Well, I like Stussy.
Fred Perry.
I've got a John Richmond jacket on.
Designers may emphasize the consumer's freedom to choose their own looks
Caliber.
as an expression of personal identity.
I think it's French.
Yet in reality, this freedom may boil down to a choice of uniforms.
Escada.
A bit like a highwayman, new romantic sort of thing, but I just sort of chose it as my uniform.
Uniforms. Freeze any frame from a riot and look at the clothes. Two distinct messages emerge. On one side, the police, dressed uniformly with signs and symbols whose meaning everyone recognizes: power, status, and a unity of purpose. On the other side, the citizens of a free society, freely expressing their opinions and individuality and dressed in an apparent ragbag of styles. But the blue jeans, anoraks, trainers, slogans on T-shirts, etc. are no less full of meaning, a vocabulary of style which the wearers understand and speak. Today, the fashion industry, more than ever, identifies, exploits, and promotes this sense of ganging together by providing more and more carefully manufactured looks, selling identity off the peg. One of the great marketers of looks of recent times has been former Thai salesman Ralph Lauren, whose success is reflected in his massive turnover.
One of the things that's worked for me is that I live what I do and I do what I love. It's an instinct that God has given me, I think, to be able to feel the world. I don't know how, I just feel it. I feel people. I have a sense of people. I am one of those people. And I designed for the people that I see.
You're born into the Russian immigrant family of Frank and Frida Lifshitz. You grow up in the Bronx, your name is changed to Lauren, and you're full of all-American aspiration.
And you dream, and you want, and you read, and through reading or through movies, you really, the door opens up or the window opens up to a world that you never had and say, wow, that looks great. Whether it be being John Wayne, or whether it be being a famous baseball player. When I went to see a Western, I was the cowboy. I was the guy on the horse. And when I went to a baseball game, I was hitting home runs. And so my designing came out of things that people really do and people dream about and think about.
Certain extremely wealthy people dream and think about winning the America's Cup. When asked to design the team uniform, typically Ralph Lauren turned it into a theme for his next fashion collection. Themed looks have been Ralph Lauren's stock in trade right from the beginning.
To call him a designer, I mean, you could pick all sorts of holes in that. He's a stylist, and as such, he is brilliant. He spotted within humanity a huge nostalgia, a romanticism, a yearning for perhaps an earlier time which would look safer, for the wonderful rightness and wrongness of the movies.
Ralph Lauren dips into the fictionalized dreams and myths of the American psyche. Dream number one, the Westerner.
They lived a certain life. They were outdoorsmen, they were tough, they were rugged, they were always handsome, They were very masculine. And they had a certain look about the clothes they wore. They wore a certain look, and they were very aware of their style. The cowboy boot, the jean, the work shirt, the western shirt, the jean jacket. They are cowboy elements. I always was inspired by them. They were romantic heroes.
We all have, from childhood, from adolescence, tucked away in our subconscious, special places, romantic places, and they come from films, from books, and he knows that if he can say, look, walk into that dream, walk into that film, we'll buy it.
When he went looking for the American Wild West and didn't find it, Ralph Lauren made it up. From Annie Get Your Gun to the wild and woolly fashionable frontiers person, his all-American Hollywood home-on-the-range look, Dodge City to discotheque in lurid skin-tight satin, brought Ralph Lauren's Westerners to town with a host of mixed messages. And white America loved his filmland frontier spirit, his nifty reconciling of down-market vernacular styles with upmarket designer price tags. And in the Ralph Lauren version of history, the mortal enemies of the Wild West are reconciled on the runway as the Native American makes a stylish appearance.
The blankets they wore to keep warm, that their wives would weave for them, or they would weave, were very inspiring because they were natural. They weren't sold in a store. They were worn out of purpose. And they were made with their own hands out of their own needs and their own inspirations.
American Dream number 2. The Navajo look, expropriated from a vanquished people, expresses the conqueror's yearning for, very expensive, spiritual authenticity. Never mind that these Navajo fabrics were woven in Scotland on computer-controlled automated looms, the sentiment is reassuringly homespun.
You're living in New York and you're working from 9 to 5 and your dream is to go to Colorado and get on a horse and drive through the mountains. That's an aspiration. The way to get that aspiration is to first, maybe first, is to wear it. That's your first step towards the goal of living it. And a lot of us don't have the money to do all the things at once, and so we wear the clothes that set the mood and the tone, and hopefully as years will go on, we will acquire that background. Possibly a ranch in Colorado, or possibly a nice home in Connecticut.
American Dream number 3, the heritage look.
As a consequence of various political upheavals, particularly the Second World War, you have people who have no sense of their own place in the world, in history, if you like. And we all have a need for that.
Having escaped tough rural reality a mere generation ago, stressed-out urbanized Americans experienced sudden nostalgia. And Ralph Lauren had the instant cure. Treasures from Granny's trousseau, clothing you in a past you never had. And if your great-granny wasn't of the Mayflower, perhaps Daddy was a great white hunter, straight out of Africa. Though with all the wild animal smells hopefully obliterated by your Ralph Lauren perfume, Safari.
My ads over the years have been very much how people live, and primarily in the beginning, very much about America and how Americans live and how they might want to live if they had the time and the money to live, and sort of presented my dreams to them, sort of